Downloading Light live event. Online channeling for a live audience. Lucy Mariani. Welcome everybody to the Downloading Light event for April 2023. Thank you for joining me this evening. It's very lovely to have all your smiling faces here and your lovely energy. So this evening, I encourage everybody to stay open, stay present. Often there's guidance, even if you're not asking a question or yours isn't being answered yet. There is guidance that pertains to all of us. And it's really, I find, the universe, divine source, God, spirit's way of sharing insights with us all. Okay, I'm going to kick off tonight with Jackson, if you're okay with that, Jackson.
Yeah.
Lovely to have you here tonight. What's your question, Jackson?
I want to kick off. That was so lovely, that start then. I love the feeling of like the light showering over me.
Yay.
I've sort of started, I've made a sort of a transition with my career and I've started a coaching business and I know these things take time and I'm feeling momentum building, but just like we're feeling a lot of turbulence too, just with family life and then trying to sort of I guess do the other jobs to try and make ends meet. And just curious to know, um, I guess when that sort of turbulence might start steadying itself out a little bit, or maybe not so much when, but like if there's any sort of guidance I can take, is anything to look out for that might sort of help me steer the ship a little bit.
The first thing I'm shown, which I probably wouldn't have expected to see, is that the turbulence almost feels like it's at the sides of you. And it almost feels like two big ships on the side, and you're this sometimes a smaller ship in the middle. And yet the way they show it to me is there is an opportunity here for you around growth on another level. And when I say growth, you could just call it learning. It's around how do you, even the coach you, stay in a sense in that focal point and anchored, and you could even say in a way at peace within, even if there's big ships rocking the waves around you and making the water, so to speak, turbulent or rough for you. And it's really you could call it an opportunity or an exercise in you coming back to your center, which you know how to do. They show me that, and you're really wonderful. Like when you're in that space, I can feel how good it feels for you. And so it's that sense of you knowing that what's outside, it's not to say it's not real, because it is. And yet it's this sense of how do I stay in my calm, and how do I then perceive all that is around me? And what seems to happen is because you're in your calm, it's almost like these ships stop rocking so hard on the sea and stop making these big waves. Now, I'm not saying it's your fault. It's more dynamic. I don't really want to say it's anyone's fault. It's a dynamic. And yet, though, if it's you, sometimes it's that one person that shifts their interaction that ripples out to others and allows there to be calm. Sometimes it takes one person in a family or a relationship or a workplace, any of those things, to come into their center, find the calm, to keep being that, and others will feel that off them. It's like, I'm not going to be disturbed by this or by that. I'll witness it, I'll acknowledge it, but I won't let it necessarily knock my meter off so that I'm then imbalanced. Yeah. The other guidance for you, Jackson, is that, okay, bear with me when I say this, in ways you can lead or guide others. You're doing this, you could say, professionally, and yet you're being encouraged to step up in that, bear with me when I say this, but a little bit more in your relationship, or maybe relationships to others, but particularly if you're in a partnership type, romantic type partnership, they're showing me that it's okay for you to do that. There may be a little bit of you that steps aside or allows more space out of being respectful. Now, that might be you being what I'm going to say is a new male that doesn't want to be, oh, I'm the man, I'm the boss, the typical sort of, way of thinking or being. And yet, though, it's still the new male. And this applies to everybody. I don't even care if you identify as a woman in the audience. We all have the masculine, feminine energies. And sometimes a lot of us have gotten scared to show the masculine, to be that. And so, Jackson, it's around you embracing that, because it is a beautiful energy, knowing and trusting yourself that you can tap into it, and you will do it in a way that's fair and balanced, and yet still helps everybody else. And I feel like that's something you're getting a bit like a tap on the shoulder from the universe to step up, step into your male as well, knowing that your divine masculine, if that's how you want to call him, is strong and often clear-sighted, knows where he's headed, knows how certain things could be or could even be better, but give him a voice. But trust also, if you're giving him a voice and you're coming from this beautiful heart you have, your words are going to come out beautifully. You're not going to get this wrong. And that's going to shift things a bit, because it's a little bit like there's an element of you that wants to sort of step into that, but you're holding back. And so then it's a bit like, I'm at the mercy of all of these, of these ships in the ocean being moved, rather than saying, I'm also a beautiful ship. I've got some things that I can add here that will help all of us. And it's okay to speak up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. That's
Yeah.
beautifully put.
Yeah. And you will do it so well. And in fact, it is like a practice ground for you, I'm shown, to do this, because you will do it more in your work. Because I don't know if you're just doing one-to-ones at the moment in the coaching, but I feel over time that you will run, I get a sense you'll be running groups. And some of those groups might just be for men. But I feel that you have really found your voice for your, as I said, your divine masculine, which means you are going to be perfectly placed to help other men come into that space as well, and their own confidence with that. Yeah. And it's timely. The world needs it. I think there was a lot of, okay, men are too rah, 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 Tarzan, me, whatever for, centuries. And then we had, and it's lovely, we had, feminist revolutions and this and that. And we started to respect more women and women's energy, or the divine feminine in all of us. But it feels like it's time to get back into balance, and that's for all of us, by the way. I don't just mean for men to be able to find that. I think it's all of us coming into more balance of using both, because we all have that. No matter how we identify in the world, we all have those beautiful energies, and they're very different, and yet we need both. And when we work with both, we're unstoppable. We're incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Sin.
My pleasure. Thank you for being here. Yeah. Thank you for being you. All righty. Next, Bree, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Lovely to have you here this evening.
Thank you. My question is, I'm having a bit of trouble, I guess, connecting with my parents, like my family, not my direct family, but my parents. I just feel like they're a little bit stuck in their own rut, and I'm just a little bit struggling of how to connect to them and not help them get out of it, but at least be there to support them while they make their own decisions.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds big. So let's have a look, shall we? The first thing is there's a pushback, Bree, because there is fear involved on their parts. And there's a sense of them navigating things or trying to sort things out in a way, and do it in a way that still feels strong, independent. We know what we're doing, very much we know what we're doing kind of stance. And it's not so much, can I say, it being personal about trying to push you or anybody else out. It feels it's as if what's happening for them is it's more around we're demonstrating to ourselves that we've got this. And even if they're not consciously being aware of that's, the stance they're taking, that's what's happening. For your parents at the moment, it feels like there's some, I'm going to call them somewhat big decisions or transitions happening. And with that, there is an admission of either what feels vulnerable now or vulnerability that is coming. And it might be newer for them to be feeling into this somewhat. And again, I'm shown even with your father, he's wanting to continue the role that he has been. He's wanting to continue to being, in a sense, I'm shown independent, self-reliant, but also somewhat of the protector of situations, even, around your mum. And so there's challenges for him at the moment around being able to recognize that he doesn't need to do everything on his own, and that's possibly going to become more and more like that for him. It's around this period of over time, I want to say, I might have to let go of that a bit more, let go of this a bit more, let go of that. And these things are very big for him. And within this, your mother, there's a beautiful loyalty there that I'm shown is supporting who he is and who he perceives himself to be. And so this is where the two of them end up being a bit like this. It's us and the world's out there, and we'll just be in here and we'll sit around the dinner table and we'll yak and we'll figure this out. And we don't need you, Brie.
Correct.
But they're having their own process, and there's beautiful things in this to be seen. That Dad really is doing his best to really keep going in the ways he's always gone and knows. Mum is doing her best to, which is often, it's a bit like the divine feminine of the divine masculine. Feminine is the supporter, and the masculine's out there doing the action. It's a bit like that. She's wanting to keep supporting him, to be in that role, to feel that he can be this and do this. And again, it's not because they wouldn't even think that your help would be beneficial, or that you wouldn't know the right things to say, etc. It just feels more around, I'm going to call it somewhat pride, even around this is who we are and we're okay. And we don't need you. Or more, you could say, underlying that, if there was a different sort of, script underneath, it would be, we don't want to have to need you, or not yet. And so you could say, you can, the way I'm shown from the universe's perspective is to stand on the periphery, watch them, be there for them, cheerlead them, be their cheerleaders right now. But there will be time that they're going to, I see your dad even doing this, extend his hand out to you a bit like, can you help me now? And then it's almost like you have to then step out of the bleachers and run on that field with your bucket of oranges or whatever and help them out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That time will come. It's just not yet. You can't change this. You can allow them to have that process because it's a big one.
I'll just wait.
Yeah, I believe you will. And, and of course you do care. It's not about not caring. And it's not about them not valuing your care and your consideration. But I really do get this sense of wait in the wings, because they will want to need you and they will recognize that. And it's great that you really are going to be there for them. But at the moment, it's a bit like they're not ready. They're like, oh, not yet. It's a bit too much for them to go that far. Yeah.
Makes sense. Thank you.
You're a good daughter. They're lucky to have you. I'll be all right. Yeah. Cool.
Thanks, Sim.
Total pleasure. Thanks, Brie. Kiralee, how are you going?
Good, thank you.
Lovely to see you again.
Thank you, and yourself as well.
Pleasure.
I did have a question around my work, and I feel as though I'm receiving the answer to the question I had. So it like in my own thoughts. in my own resonance. So now I'm thinking that maybe the best thing to ask is there any information I need to know about anything at all? So not necessarily related to my work,
Right.
but just general guidance.
Okay. Can I just check in? Did you just start to get the answer because we did the bit of connecting? Did you feel, or did you feel you're already sort of getting that? I'm just curious.
I feel as though it started to drop in mostly today,
Yeah, good.
but I've been thinking about this event. And so I feel like even before we did the meditation, I feel like the energy of tonight was already starting to show up for me throughout today.
Yes. Yeah, great.
Mm.
And, I'm glad you said it like that. Not that I needed you to answer, by the way, and that'll, like whatever your answer would have been fine. But I find it really interesting how when we know we're going to connect to the universe, that sometimes it's just that knowingness. It means it's a bit like reminding us that we can connect. We're going to, even if you think it's through a conduit like me or another reader or channel or psychic or whoever, doesn't matter. I find it really fascinating how it's a bit like we open up. And so then the universe starts to go, oh, cool. Curly's open. We can start down there and drop things in to help her. So yeah, it's good. It's great. All right, let's
Yeah.
the guidance is though in general. You are right about, sorry, I am going to say this, you are right about the career thing. Whatever feels like a move or a direction that you're headed in, because that's the way they show it to me. And that doesn't always mean moving out of a job. It can be just a direction with it or whatever it is. But it feels like you're moving somewhere or in this whatever it is direction with it. They show me you're on track and you are accurate in what you're perceiving, what you're getting. And interestingly, they're saying that you do have your answers, Kirili, in you. Everybody does. But they are showing me that you do have those answers in you. And for you, it's a bit like Kirili being able to pluck them out like little gems and just look at them for the little gems that they are, the insights, the intuitive knowing that you have. They're like little gemstones within you, sitting in your belly that you can pick up and look at the light and go, oh, that is real. And okay, I can keep going with that. And you'll also know it because you will feel it. For you, feeling. Some of us are different. Some of us see, some of us hear, some of us kind of know, some of us really feel, or sometimes it's a combination of all those or some of those. But I'm showing for you, yours is a feeling. You get into a state of, it's almost like embodiment feeling when you're in that intuitive state. So trust that, yeah. Outside of that, the other guidance that they're giving you is to know that there's a path for you that feels like wanting to walk in the sun. It's like a path that's unfolding as you keep walking in that direction, or will unfold in the sun. And the way that the sun in this sense is around in the joy, in the happiness, in that sunset, could be in the romantic sunset, like walking, holding hands with somebody into it. But it feels like allow yourself to still stay in the energy or the knowing that this path is unfolding for you. And when you do, what happens is your whole energy shifts and it's like allowing the joy to come in right now, even before certain other things you might be working towards or walking towards or wanting comes in your life. Source sometimes does this, actually, I think a lot with clients. I literally feel like we are given information through a conduit so that we not only have our intuition confirmed, but so that we can know what I'm wanting or what I've been feeling or what I've been dreaming or what I've already been, having a sense is coming is. And then when you have that, it's almost like you can let go of monkey mind that wants to tell you no, 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 or any limitations. It's like getting a glimpse into your future, really. That's what it is, to say, yeah, that's there. And when you know that's there, it helps hopefully give one permission to go, I can let go of the the negative thoughts or the limiting thoughts around that, or the fears even. Instead, I can actually go, wow, Sin has seen this, or someone else has seen this, or the tarot cards showed me this. This is fantastic. I'm going to stay in that place of joy, knowing this is coming. And I get a sense that's really important for you right now, is to know there's good things coming. Hence, you don't need to grip it all or worry it all. You can just flow with it. Start smiling now, knowing it's happening, knowing that, you know, literally the universe has marked a spot on your calendar for the future, going, there you go, this is this person, here's a partner, there you go, there's this, there's that. All of these things, I feel like there's a holiday in there. All these things have already been marked on your etheric calendar by the universe. You're just plodding along in life, walking towards those dates. You don't have to worry about it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
It's so good. Seriously.
Sorry.
To me, it feels so good.
Yeah. I think even though I had that resonance about my work, moving away from the alternative, or what I have had, has, a little bit of fear comes up. And so hearing you speak this evening has helped me to quieten those fears, so that I can start to, change my navigation with more confidence. So even though I had that resonance in me already, it just feels a little bit easier and lighter now.
Great. Universe. Yeah, you're on the path anyway. I believe we all are. My mentor always used to say to me, I've probably said this before to one of these groups, but always used to say to me, get out of God's way. It's like your head, your egoic mind will go blah, 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 blah. And it's almost like that's the interference. We're already in flow. We're doing what we're doing. We're being gifted. We're being given things. We're being supported. We're being ushered even half the time by our guides and sometimes ancestors on the other side, etc., to move in these directions. It's almost, I could say, universally, the more we could quieten our minds, or the egoic mind, which is the fears, the doubts, the worry, the insecurity, the panic, any of those things you're ever thinking, it's usually that's what's getting in the way, usually. Yeah. Cool.
Thank you.
Enjoy. Keep smiling, Kiralee. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
Jody, how are you going?
Hi, Sin. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good. Lovely to connect.
You too. I would love to know if there's any sort of message or guidance from Source.
Yep. Oh, so on anything, whatever comes through, yeah?
Anything. Yeah, whatever comes through.
Okay. It feels around one of your, I'm going to say little ones, or your children, but it feels like the eldest. Okay. I get a sense that maybe now, bear with me if it's not, feels that this child, this little one, wants to grow, but feels a little bit like they're hitting a wall. And it, how can I explain this a little bit better? It's like when you want to grow and you want to be bigger, or you want to do something, but it feels like there's some sort of limit that they feel that they're hitting. And sometimes it's causing them frustration. And look, I don't know what stage they're at of development. It might be a standard developmental stage, because it's almost like standing up and wanting to do this, and then I can't, so they fall back on their bottom. And it's a bit like, and then having a little bit of a whinge that I'm frustrated, I've fallen back on my bottom. So I don't know if it's one of those things of trying to walk, or whether it's something else, but I'm certainly getting this sense that they're feeling there's a limit. Let's see what the guidance is, though, around that for this child. Or even if it's for anything to help you as parents. Thank you. I'm showing you, Jody, envisaging this child being able to do whatever it is that they're wanting to be able to do. So it's almost like if they wanted to grow taller, so they could grow through the top of the roof, and that's what they needed to do. You would envisage that first, knowing that you can grow that tall. You can grow through that limit. and you keep holding that vision yourself in your mind. And I don't know what it is, but it's then like when you then interact with this little one, it's almost a bit telepathic. You're showing them how they can do it, not in the standard human way of, I'll show you how to walk, this is what you do, for example. That could be just metaphor, but it's a different way of doing it. It's like holding the vision already, that knowledge, looking at them, knowing as they try to do it that you believe them, you know they can do it, and you seem to somehow be able to communicate to this child. It's like then they start to stand tall and they start to rise up, and they can just do it, and it's much easier, whatever it is that challenge is for them. As a parent with this child, I'm shown with you, it's a very interesting relationship. You're not always telling them, and we always think that's what we have to do, and this might be an insight for others in the group. We always believe we have to tell another person or a child verbally, you can do this, or you're going to be able to do this, or you're great, or whatever we do to build that motivation or that positivity, that confidence within them. And yet, Jody, I'm shown with you, with this particular child throughout life, a lot of it is your beliefs and what you're holding for them. I want to say energetically, allows them to keep growing up in life into that. Not because you're controlling, not because you're even, I want to say, projecting on what they should be or what they should be doing, but because you already have this sense of what they're wanting, who they are. And it's not just the verbal words, it's you holding that space, that belief, that vision for them that's going to shift it and make things easier, which is quite profound, because we always, like I would say to you, yes, I don't know, darling, you want to be a doctor? Of course you can be a doctor. You're smart. I can see that. But it wouldn't be you just using words. It would really be your belief, you holding space, you envisaging that child is actually going to pick up on that and know it's a different kind. It's a very deep connection there. It's not just words.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. We're definitely going through something at the moment. There hasn't been a lot of sleep here the last week. But yeah, I think it's just a development thing, and her language is just exploding. So I think it's just wanting to be able to have whole sentences, but she's only got so many words.
Yeah, definitely. And this is the thing sometimes that some little ones really do come through. I often feel like they are the old, well, I think there's a lot of old souls there, and it's not just whether we're old and wise even, but still souls that have lived a lot of times, and it's a bit like coming back, especially if we come back quite quickly. I think there can be a bit of an impatience. There's some level of understanding within soul of, what do you mean? I've got to learn how to do this again, learn how to eat again, learn how to walk, talk, blah, blah. I've already got all these ideas in my head. I want to get them out. And that happens sometimes. I've seen that before with other clients' children. And this little one, it definitely does. It feels like a developmental stage, not anything wrong happening, that they are getting frustrated because it's like, I want to be able to do this, I can't. But again, it might be you just starting to envisage her stringing her sentences together, or even just quietly noticing when they're getting better without even always saying it to her, but you notice. It's like you can telepathically convey that message to her, or that I want to call it the acknowledgement even of, you're doing this, you can do this.
No, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, she'll be okay. Can we keep opening up more space in what we believe about anybody in any given time, knowing that energetically people feel into things, and that's sometimes the ways that we set another free or support them without even knowing it, without even intentionally doing it, but we create space for them to grow into that. And I get that very much with you and your daughter.
That's great. Thanks for that insight, Sin.
Total pleasure. Thanks everyone for attending. It's so good to have you all here, and thank you for your questions.